Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, everybody. This is Talk Cosmos. I'm Sue Minahan. We're starting in again to give you an insightful description of what this new moon will be in the luminous sign of Pisces. It's get ready. We have passages ahead, rites of being, amazing things that we can only speak of before we get on the journey. Who knows? But we're going to find out a little bit today, and I have a great crew to help me. So now we're ready for archetypal symbols.
Synthesizing the new moon consciousness through archetypal Sabian symbols, numerology, lunar mansions, tarot, and astrology, all together illuminating a new moon vision story. This is your Archetypal Symbols panel.
I'm Sue Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Elizabeth Liz Muschett, a professional astrologer, intuitive, numerologist, and tarot reader. I'm a certified sacred healing counselor, providing nurturing, in-depth consultations for individuals and couples. I'm an author, blogger, speaker, and international Reiki master and teacher. I create safe space in which to explore the deeper patterns of your life, to clarify your current circumstances and help you find your best path forward.
And I'm Justin Crocodelsey, an archetypal Jyotish astrologer, yoga and meditation teacher, and author. I combine both Western ancient astrology and modern psychological astrology with Eastern Vedic astrology, and I specialize in predictive, electional, and karmic astrology for individuals and couples. I also do in-depth astrological research into arcane astrological concepts, focusing on the mystical, occult side of astrology.
Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift." And that's why it's called the present. Hello to the new present. Hello, Justin, and hello, Liz.
Hey, Sue and Liz. It's great to be here again.
Yes, it is. Liz, hi.
Yes, another great show. Excited to get started.
Exactly. Let's find out. So it is going to be the week of February 23rd. With Pisces, there's no time. So there you go. But we're going to get ready. We are getting ready. It's 9 degrees, 41 minutes of Pisces. And it's happening on the 27th. So that is a correct feature. And Eastern time, it'll be at 7:45 in the morning. What's the
it's PM. It's PM.
Oh, rats boo hiss. Okay, PM. Thank you. Sunrise, Sunset is one of my favorite songs, but thank you very much. My apology. We've all tweaked this, and there you go again. Okay, I'm going to make a note of that so I can also let people know. It's mutable water. Mutable water, what does that mean? It means it's sloshing around a lot, right?
Well, mutable finishes projects up to make room for new things to come in or new projects to start.
There you go. And it offers a lot of compassion, Pisces, and forgiveness. You know, it's a combination of everything that's happened. So there's a big history. There's a big story in Pisces, more than it really shows, but it's empathic, intuitive. It's a full deal, really.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll keep rolling. So some of the shadow, it has a lot of imagination. That's the beauty of it in the visionary. So let's plow with that feature. And the shadow, yes, it can be, unless you think of some strategy, possibly the overwhelm, confusion. It's a lot to integrate. And I know for myself, escapism seems like a favorite route, but no, you got to stick to the horse, keep trotting. And no neglect. And boundaries are an issue. It has its pros and its cons. You know, you can embrace everything, and then again, it's too much. And maybe you've walked into somebody's territory or they into yours. So there you go. Any comments, or we'll roll on? Okay.
Roll.
Numerology, you know, for half a year, we're having 9 degrees. And besides the sun and the moon, there's also other planets or points that add up to that when you take the 2 digits. In this case, it's going to be the new Pisces Virgo lunar nodes that add up 2 and 7 to 9. Liz,
and also 2025 is a universal year of number 9. So it's really interesting that we start the year with this 9 energy asking us or giving us the energy to complete things, you know, tie up loose ends, maybe clean out things, transformation. And the cycles we're going to start a new cycle. So we get new things for next year, and it's like enforcing that 999 every month for a few months.
It is, and next month will be the end of that. It'll be in Aries. That will always do the seed point. It's been going on, I think, since September, something like that. But here with these nodes, let's just think briefly. That has to do with new nodes. They're now in Pisces for the North node. It's our karmic destiny path. It's speaking of everything that we just spoke of, somehow fit into the whole scenario of cosmically, collectively on the whole globe. And Virgo, they're both interested in health, and Virgo wants to fix a little more than Pisces says is necessary, but they're both health oriented. So possibly we can just refocus on what needs to be fixed and be healthy. Shall
Absolutely.
We go on?
Yes.
Okay. The arcana, there's with the major arcana tarot, it's the moon. It's the 18th trump card, and it corresponds to Pisces.
Yes, and as we talked about, Pisces being intuition, the subconscious, and dreams, the ebb and flow of life. The moon has a cycle. It's like a new moon and a full moon, and then there's several cycles in between. And sometimes the card can look like an eclipse because it looks like a full moon and a sliver of a moon. So that's what I have to say.
I love that, really. Thank you, Liz, because this word cycles, as we think of completion, means not to get too excited if it seems overwhelming. It's a phase. It will have another energy focus a little bit later. And we're going to go right into the nakshatras. And
and the nakshatras are the lunar mansions, and we call them nakshatras in Vedic astrology. And they're basically mythologies and concepts related to all the fixed stars in the zodiac constellation that the moons are, and any planets are going to. So on the next slide, we see for this moon, which is Chandra, that the lunar mansion or nakshatra here is Satyabhahisha, and it's in the 3rd pada, which is ruled by air. And the key theme about this lunar mansion here, Satyabhahisha, is the 100 physicians of the gods, or the 100 stars. This is the one of the lunar mansions that deals with healing and health. And the ruling planet is Rahu, because the North Node in Jyotish or Vedic astrology is considered a minor planet. And the deity here is Varuna, which is the god of the rains and the mystical healer. Symbol is an empty circle, and a basis above and below here is all pervasiveness and support for everything. Some key words of this are forward thinking, 100 physicians or healers of the gods. And generally, if somebody has some planets in this, so if you have some planets right around this degree, and a few degrees before this Pisces moons, or at least 3 degrees after, you're going to have one of planets in this. And it does represent individuals who are more concerned about social welfare or concern of others. So that's a little bit about this particular lunar mansion. And we're going to see how these themes plays out when we get to the Sabian symbols today.
Oh, I look forward to that. Could you just expand a little bit about an empty circle, if that's waiting for a void or if it's really just an appearance?
It's more about what I want to say about nothingness.
Yes. Okay.
It's about being present in nothingness there.
Yes. That everything is in nothingness.
Support for everything. It encompasses everything, infinity or all pervasiveness.
That's what I thought. Very good. I love this. Tying it together using a little Western mythology, it's hard to ignore that Pisces is the origin story, and it all relates to the fish. It's very, very old. I was reading a Jessica Davidson article, and it actually, there's a symbol that dates back 10,000 years with this fish being two tied together, although you don't see that in a lot of other places. Generally, the story is the two gods of love, Aphrodite and her son Eros, were the last to leave with the impending monster Typhon. This is back primordial times, because they thought love would conquer all. But there he was, and there was no escape, and they transformed into fish, tied by a cord, and escaped. Some say the rivers, some say the sea. What does it mean? It can mean many things. So I'm just going to choose a few. This is not, one is it's a journey to wholeness. And it's really that idea that these two fish actually swim in opposite directions. And one idea is that one is spirit and one is materialism. And in the collective of Pisces, there's so many, everything combined, that they need to be honored and get to realize, rather than be the victim, that we can redeem ourselves. That I'm using words from this. It corresponds so beautifully with the number 9 of one phase to the next, that cycle that you're going from, and emotions, the very fact that you need to escape to save, but there's so much more depth that could be read into that. But what I love best is the Nakshatra saying that there's support and healing for everything. It is a matter of divinity moving forward to bring through love the compassion of the next step. Okay. I hope that made sense. The constellation is very weak to see. Look for the square of the Pegasus. The best times to see it is in October, and in December it's at its highest, about 8 p.m. wherever you live. Let's talk Sabian symbols. We've changed this to 3. 4 seemed like a bit much. Past, present, future. The degree that it is, and it's going to be the one before and the one after. These were channeled in 1925 by Elsie Wheeler, a spiritualist medium, with astrologer Mark Edmund Jones, who flushed them out. But she really was the one that came up with these images that we're going to look at. So here's the chart on February 27th and here's the right time finally, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with a 1 degree ascendant, a 2 degree Cancer midheaven, and of course our 9 degree sun and moon. So we're going to scan these degrees, and remembering that, well, we'll go forward, that we begin with Virgo at 30 because they round up. There is no 0. It would be 30 of Virgo, just for those people that want to know. Liz, you want to start?
Sure. Leading up to this ascendant degree, we have the Virgo 30, totally intent upon completing an immediate task. A man is deaf to any allurement. And the keynote, total concentration required for reaching any spiritual goal. And the key word is conquest of illusion. Go ahead.
And the present, the actual 1 degree, Libra, that word, is a collection of perfect specimens of many biological forms. A butterfly displays the beauty outfit. Did I type this right? But it's wings. The issue is here, the body's impaled by a fine art. Quite an imagery. The immortal archetype reality that a perfect and dedicated life reveals. And it's what is made sacred through the archetype.
And the future, what it's moving towards to here is the transmutation of the fruits of past experiences into the seed realizations of the forever creative spirit. And the keynote here is a repolarization or balancing of inner energies leading to a creative centralization of consciousness. So here we have creative centralization.
They seem pretty thematic. That's quite a storyline.
Yeah.
So,
it's very mental, very mental. We're looking at the conquest of illusion. It's very mind organized. And then, of course, this wanting to perfect. And then, of course, this balancing of this creative centralization and integration of the mind.
Which is so Libran. Thank you. Looking at the MC, this is for Eastern time. It's in Cancer, 2 degrees. So the past, I'll do that and you do the present. Liz, we'll mix it up. On a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. The keynote, a radical change of allegiance exteriorized in a symbolic act, a point of no return. So this is it's a process of reorientation. And I added, because of the notes that Edmund did, Jones, okay. Edmund, did it stabilization. Go ahead.
And then the present degree of Cancer 2, a man on a magic carpet hovers over a large area of land. And the keynote is the ability to expand one's consciousness by stabilizing one's point of view at a higher level. And the key word is elevation, rising above it all.
And then the third one, or where we're going to here, a man bundled in fur leads a shaggy deer. And the keynote here is the need to overcome stagnation and cold during trials of endurance. And the key word here is a testing of the will.
Well, I guess if we elevate, we can.
And I might make a point that what I see a lot of times in charts, because I am a Cancer. And so this is, really that first degrees of the zodiac signs always remind me of kind of what the whole theme of the suit is, we say, or this whole theme of the constellation. So it's, Cancers are learning to reorientate their emotions healthy and elevate them to a higher spiritual perspective. And I think through that, we sometimes go through this testing of wills and endurance, and there's more of a psychological thing going on there. So.
Thank you. Finally, to the exact sun and moon for the entire world. Liz, you want to start?
Sure. So the leading up 2 degree is Pisces 8, a girl blowing a bugle, a call to participation in the service of the race. An evolutionary crisis approaches. And the key word is summons. And I'm going to read a little bit more here. A new form of consecration of the individual to the whole. Tomorrow acts through today. So summons men to rebirth.
The present 9 degrees would be a jockey spurs his horse intent on outdistancing his rivals. Keynote, intense mobilization of energy and skill in the drive for success in any social performance, affected by the competitive spirit, self-quickening.
And then what it's moving towards here, an aviator pursues his journey flying through ground obscuring clouds. Keynote here is man's ability to develop powers and skills which by transcending natural limitations allow him to operate in mental, spiritual realms. The key word here is mastery. So, I just want to give you my thoughts on this, that this just shows me, here we got a summons to call, we got a self-quickening, and now we're learning to master something here in the mental spiritual realm. So this feels like to me, this energy of this moon is getting us ready for the spring equinox and everything moving into fire. We feel a self-quickening and a getting a fire lit under us here, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, blowing a bugle and a jockey spurs his horse and an aviator. My goodness, land, air, and Liz?
Well, it's like, to me, it's just a call to action.
Yeah.
There, let's see what the whole picture looks like. Sounds good. These will be just the keywords, and Liz and Justin will.
Well, I don't have anything more to add because I think we kind of summed them up already. But if Justin wants to add something.
Yeah, I think, through this aspect of speeding up and getting something done and mastering something, we're going to go through sort of like, if you live on the East Coast, because it's the ascendant for the East Coast, there's something about looking at your mind and creativity, but also not letting your emotions get bogged down into being an obstacle to this summons and mastery.
And really, it is for the nation too, because I think we are using the United States.
That's true. Yeah.
The chart for that purpose as a collective energy. We're still going through Chiron return for the state, nation, and many other things. Yes, indeed. These words in themselves: conquest of illusion, made sacred, creative centralization for the rising. And then the keywords for the MC in Cancer, that nurturing Cancer, reorientation, elevation, a testing of the will. And then finally for the 9 degrees Pisces itself, summons to rebirth, self-quickening mastery. Well, this is beautiful. We're a little bit ahead, but you know what? I think that's okay. We will take a little break and come back and really, unless we have a thought or two, we want to talk about how the Vedic comes in now, or we want to wait for the charts.
I think we should wait for the charts.
Yeah.
All right. We will come back. We'll see you in a second. Thank you. This is Archetypal Symbols with Elizabeth Muschett, Justin Crockett, Elsie, and myself, Sue Minahan. Thank you. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Pisces, ruled modernly by Neptune and by Jupiter in traditional astrology of the ancients. By leaving a cycle based on the equality of all humans and brilliancy, Pisces concludes the 12 signs that energetically encompass the entirety of the universe, where humans have no control. As a mutable water sign represented by 2 fish swimming in opposite directions of the forces of life, we experience in Pisces the collective unconscious energy of the unknown. Intuitive, psychic Pisces completes the seed cycle, initiated with Aries' willful separation from the Piscean womb.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
This is Martha Norwalk every Sunday morning beginning at 9 a.m. Thanks in part to Linda Rasmussen at verticalenergyworldwide.com. We cover the world of animals. This week, March 2nd, it's Shelter Rescue Sanctuary and anything that helps our animal friends Sunday. We'll check in with Now.Cat Rescue, Help Animals India, and Beth and Merritt Clifton at animals24-7.org. Plus, we'll hear about all the great events and classes coming up at the Ananda Institute for Living Yoga. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here in Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Seattle, Tacoma, Antwerp. That's right. We're streamed worldwide on our app and on the web at 1150kknw.com.
Hi again. We are Archetypal Symbols, New Moon Consciousness, because it renews your intentional life choices. And you can find Elizabeth, all of us do consultations. And this here is one way to find out for each person, or else go to Talk Cosmos. In the 8th season, there's going to be a blurb for each one of the guests. And there's many ways. It's all on our calendars and etc. But Liz is a lightpath.com, and she has a YouTube at Elizabeth Liz Muschett. Justin Crockett Elsie, you can find under his name, JustinCrockettElsie.com, or email justin.elsie@gmail.com. And his email, not email, but YouTube is at Astrological Yogi. Myself, Sue Minahan, TalkCosmos.com, and my YouTube is at Talk Cosmos. So thank you for subscribing. Liz, you have a moment to share these great news.
Yes, I have 2 to 3 podcasts a week. I've been working on the astrological highlights of 2025 with different astrologers from one even came from Canada and one from Ireland and around the United States. And then a new show that's starting, the Magical Astrology with Robert. And then Justin and I do the monthly astrology forecast, the full moon forecast, and a Chiron asteroid series. And then I have a show called the Astrology Star Sisters that we do Chinese astrology, decans using astrology and tarot, dwarf planets with Sue, fixed stars, planets stationing, Uranian astrology, and the Venus star points. So I look forward to having you watch some of my shows and subscribe. Thanks.
Okay. And Justin.
Yeah, so I do consultations via Zoom for people all over. And you can check out some of my stuff on my YouTube channel. So I just ask people to check out the playlist there, and that's how you can get a hold of me.
And you're also on Blue Sky. Sounds good. For Talk Cosmos at youtube.com, Talk Cosmos, there is a playlist for me with Liz's show, the Astrology Star Sisters. We just did Uranus, Ingress, Gemini. That's the most recent. Another one will be coming up. For Talk Cosmos, there's a couple here that I can highlight. One is on Planet Buzz, and it was about Venus retrograde with Louise Eddington. And then we have U.S. Global Currents, which is a dynamic show that's really about what is happening in the mundane world for the U.S. and the globe. This one was about our Chiron return. It's pretty monumental because it is a process that we're all managing one way or the other. So thank you for showing looking at those. And I have 2 events just to bring focus to. One is an online healing event because these are the healing energies of Pisces and Virgo. It's caring for the soul. There is it's a virtual retreat, and you can find that at virtual retreat caringforthesoul.evanbright.com. It's put on by Marie O'Neill. And there's a price break, $97 through March. So check it out. Do VHR25 and you can go back to it. And just to bring a heads up, vibrational astrology is having a very first of its kind. There has been another, but it's morphed into a collective called Convergence. But this is Fractal Cosmos. It'll be on Labor Day weekend. Registration opens March 9th, and you can go to fractalcosmos.com. So save that. And it's for newbies or advanced. There's going to be 2 tracks. So if you're curious, what does all that mean? This will be a great chance to find out. Let's talk astrology. It really is only...
This slide's about the out-of-bounds planets. And right now, the only out-of-bounds planet is Mars. And Mars has been out of bounds since January 1st and will stay out of bounds until April 7th. And out-of-bounds planets are out of the bounds of the sun, so they act on their own. And oftentimes I think of them as acting as a little bratty 2-year-old.
Well, you could think that, but I'll have to say we all have our out of bound planets. And I think really it's just independent. It's like, I'm going to be me. Thank you, universe. So if that's 2 years old, I'm for it. That's good. But Mars is happening. So if all your get up and go wants to get up and go, realize it's in Cancer. It's looking for safety. It's a tall order. Cancer has put quite a pack on us lately, but it's all going to add up. I trust. Okay, the highlight is that for a few days, less than a week, all the planets are direct. That's unusual. The last couple of years, we've had months of direct time. All of January, all of February, not this year. We're going to have from February 24th, a couple of days ago, until March 1st. And then go teet. We begin to review things. And looking just at the sun and moon for this, so we won't look at any others. Okay, because we'll get into that. There are a few dynamics. I would say one point I will say is that the sun and moon seem to be a midpoint between, because I kept checking my solar software and it said, yes, it's conjunct, or it's trine rather, Mars and the MC. Well, it's rather a distance. It's like 8 degrees, 7 degrees from each, but it's a midpoint between those. So it is powerful between our Cancer 2 degree, which is almost, 2 degrees is only a bit away from 0 degrees, which is like summer solstice. That's a world point itself. And 17 degrees. So that's a trine. It's a flow. It wants to move. In other words, the Piscean and the caring, while somebody in the world is moving, this is for the United States, moving a lot of things forward.
Yeah, and then the other trine is to Vesta.
Yeah, I think this really speaks to a lot of what we're seeing in the lunar mansions and the Sabian symbols around emotions. And we have the god of rains, which is a mystic healer, and there's about emotions here, and so I think this, Cancer is retrograding. I mean, when Mars is retrograding in Cancer, that's one of the reasons why people are wondering where their tribe's at now at this point, and their emotions are being evaluated about certain things about family, and so this is a time where we can reorientate our emotions, as Mars is still retrograde until the 23rd. By the time this moon is, though, it will not be retrograding, it'll be direct, but I think that grand trine there it was really more about healing. That's what I get out of that.
I like that. And the whole idea to the big square here is really with Jupiter. So that's a process of doing exactly what you said about where's my tribe, thinking it through, gathering some ideas, reflecting on the whole thing.
Jupiter squaring the moon it's not necessarily a negative thing, but it can bring some dynamics. Since we're dealing with the sign of communications here, some issues in communications. So I would just say, just kind of be a little bit more grounded and discerning about communications. What do you think, Liz?
Well, an overload of information. It's like too much information is coming in and it's hard to sort through it. So I know I really need breaks from the computer or my cell phone. And I've been taking more and more of those, and I really appreciate that. So
that's yes. Well, the last is the quintile, which, I don't use a lot, but it keeps coming up, and it's a fifth. It's 72 degrees. One thought is that it's creative because it's playful. You're in vibrational astrology, you're exploring the world around you and trying to just figure out what's what. The idea that this is happening with Uranus is a sudden thing. So perhaps taking a break and realizing the emotions and remembering the playful part of life will help us move on. Yeah. Oh, did I pass too far? Yes, I did. Okay. Opposite and awareness aspects. Liz?
Okay, so Uranus is opposite Vesta, and the other opposition is the nodes, and the north node is conjunct that Neptune. So probably Uranus opposite Vesta is some changes maybe around our homes, our foundations, where we live. Maybe we're going to move or downsize or do something different. What would you say, Justin?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a change factor there. We have in the signs of materialism and spirituality, Taurus and Scorpio, and I definitely think that this could be the point where just pay attention to resources when it comes to groups and group structure there, and it definitely some changes. It's definitely a change with Vesta and wherever that shows up in our chart. But for the collective here, it's really about some change in letting some things go and letting go of resentment and forgiveness, I believe, is a part of that.
Yeah, the altar. Vesta is the altar, where it's our flame of what we consider to be sacred. They put the gods that they wanted on the altar. So it is. And with Uranus, I agree. This is with you both, that such change is happening and doesn't make it easy, but be aware that this is part of the movement of going forth, that hopefully clearing space. Trying to make lemonade. Mm-hmm.
And also Uranus can be reactive. And, so there can be some things in the collective right now where people are reactive. And it's interesting, anytime Uranus is opposing a sign like this or another planet, like many times in charts we see where Uranus is opposite Chiron, and so it's really a focus. I think this is really an important aspect here, this opposition towards kind of a view of why things are happening the way they're happening now.
Then we have the action aspects, and the sun.
You're muted, Sue. So she was talking about the sun, moon, square Jupiter.
Yes, thank you.
Can barely hear you.
Oh, well, why don't you lead on then?
Go for it, Liz.
Okay, I'm going to go to the Mars square Chiron because Justin had mentioned Chiron, so I thought that was a good one to jump to, and we can come back to the one Sue was talking about. So, Mars has just gone direct, and so maybe we're going to take some action and do some more deeper healing, or to share with others and do some kind of teaching with them. What would you like to say, Justin?
No, definitely. I think this, anytime we mix fire and water signs, this is where we get steam. And so we're mixing Mars, which is a planet that rules a fire sign, but it's in water, and now it's squaring Chiron in Aries. This is definitely a tension point here of really paying attention to our emotions with our wound. So this could be the point where we're really, now that Mars is direct, we've really figured out, wait a second, these people are a part of our family, and we need to, value these people a part of our Cancerian family. So, I'm looking at more from a mundane astrology perspective with that, but, individually, this is really paying attention to how people are valuing us and our emotions with that. That's what I would say about that.
And there's a certain wisdom and a transformational wisdom. I'm looking at Pluto, which is a planet of transformation. And thank you both for leading on. I had little technical things happening with Pallas Athena of the wisdom strategist. And she's activating, how can we purify, hygiene, get rid of toxins, cleanse, be healthy. It's a wide dynamic here that we're looking at. Well, if we focus on the idea that we're dealing with emotions, our roots, and perhaps our self versus what we exchange with, it can go in many directions.
Can I bring up something about this from a mundane astrology perspective? Again, I hate to go here with this.
I love it.
But But remember during the first pandemic, or not the first pandemic, but the last one we just went through, the huge one, COVID, there was a big focus on hygiene and Pluto here. And Pluto is an indicator of pandemics. And I think this really kind of speaks to some health stuff. You know, we got Hygeia there, the goddess of hygiene and health and purity, cleanliness, and it's squaring Pluto, which is the planet of pandemics and that. So I definitely think this can be an indicator of some focus on what we're seeing right now in the government with this. But I would definitely say this may see where we see something come up about a pandemic, right? Bird flu or whatever. But I think it is a focus on paying attention to our health. That's what I would say. What do you think, Liz?
To make a step to improve your health, because Pluto is, rules our colon basically. So, how could we help make some positive health changes to have better gut health and just better health overall? And it can be very simple.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I would agree too about the general health, not to be the idea of bird flu, whatever it, and the fact that there's a heavy flu issue. So realizing that this might be a weakness, take steps to.
And then
we may see something. We may, because this is a square, we may see some action taken on bird flu right around this period of time as well. So
there was one more.
Nope, this is the one that we're doing, and it is. That's why I had that little note, not to go, because it's your Thor's hammer that we've learned with Liz's attention to it. And it has a focal planet. It drives the energy. It's sesquiquadrate. That means 135 degrees, which is the combination of a square and a half square. It's very active, action-oriented, driving. And so it happens to be that Mars, the planet of action, is the focal point. So I would say security, safety, working through these emotions with our hearth of Vesta, and if we're getting nourished or not being nourished, because Ceres represents food, it represents how we're emotionally nourishing ourselves. It can be positive, or there's a lot to work. Actually, it's not Vesta, it's Juno. My apology. It's with Juno of what we're married to.
Well, it's our commitment. And Ceres is also mother and grandmothers. And so and Juno is square. So what's our relationship to women, mothers, grandmothers, the feminine, and what have we committed to? And so we might be working on redoing that. But Ceres is also kind of rules crops, wheat, cereals. So maybe coming up with some new techniques of how to farm or grow those kind of things. Justin, do you have anything to add?
I think you already covered it. I think both of you have already covered it.
All right. This isn't just a teaching moment, because the point of Thales, it's okay, what is it? Another aspect, it's a sacred geometry. It starts with an opposition, and then one planet, a third planet, is sextile and trine to the opposing points, meaning it's a constructive, that third planet is able to mitigate the opposition and go forward. And that's what we have with some of these flowing connective aspects.
So Liz, Sue, since that is an educational moment for folks, to what end is this conceptually, what's the concept of a point of Thales?
Well, here we have the south node and the ascendant. The south node, and it's out of sign. The south node is 27 degrees Virgo. The ascendant for the Eastern time is 1 degree Libra. And opposing it, of course, is the North Node at 27 degrees Pisces. However, it's closely conjunct to Neptune, which is the modern ruler, at 28 degrees. However, if you look at Juno is very strong in this entire. First of all, you'll see that there's a sextile. There's also a mini trine that it's connected with, but we're just answering your question. So I would say that because it's in Sagittarius and it's at 0 degrees, we're in a looking at law, we're looking at religions, we're looking at philosophy, we're looking at other cultures, and they are what we're married to in Juno, are our alliances. And because it's a south node, we're going to perhaps critique what our role is to help fix things and what our relationship is. And on the other spectrum of the north node, we're going to look at more of the holistic Piscean, Neptunian way of hopefully some compassion.
Yeah, no, I was wondering what, for folks, just without whatever planets are involved, what is the meaning of the point of Thales?
It's a constructive process. It's taking two oppositions and it's coming with that third planet working in a constructive manner.
Constructive manner towards some outcome, basically. Positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which all aspects do. All aspects are
Right.
energies, just consciousness that are working at some. Rick Levine uses this a lot. We use it a lot with Planet Buzz. So if I'm morphing this into our,
well, no, I was getting to where you said this was an educational moment for the listeners to what actually Thales means and what does that mean
trying to get too
conceptually.
much into it. Yeah, just like it's constructive. It's a constructive aspect because we've been
any aspects
focusing.
constructive. Any aspects
Not
constructive.
In some minds, in some minds, I like that. I like that idea, but there has been in the world of astrology so much dissent about this is negative and this is positive and that means this and this means irritating, like a quincunx, and it goes on and on and on. So in the little nutshell, which I don't allege to in many of those, I don't see. I see them all as constructive. I agree. It's just how do you get to the constructive point? But I guess in this one. And it's, I think
I would say with that North Node conjunct Neptune, it's like coming up with a new vision and a new way to do things and how we, commit and partner with things and using our past experiences to help us with our new dream.
I like that.
Yeah. And I would definitely say there's an emotional communication aspect to relationships here, with Mars and Mercury and Juno there involved.
And then going on to the mini grand trine or talent trine, we have the South Node ascendant trine to Pluto and Pallas Athena, and then they're sextile, both those points, to Juno. So, this flow that's taking place, thinking of things from the past or how things have been, and how do we want to change them? Because Pluto wants to go deep. It doesn't want to just do surface stuff. It wants to go deep, deep, deep. And again, it's, our commitments and our oaths to things.
And strategy. A lot of strategy. A lot of wisdom, hopefully. Yeah. There's hope on the horizon, I suppose. It's a whole process, really, of looking at that Mars trine the Saturn and Mercury, which I know we've brought up.
No, we didn't. So,
no, we didn't. And I put that in there correctly.
Yes.
I know we went. Yes, we did. Because the circle, it's actually going down to the next one, Saturn, and which is a wonderful configuration. Anytime you get Mercury and Saturn together, it's trying to figure out what's essential and to work on that. So it's good energy.
And anytime you have Mars and Saturn in any aspect, they're both the malefic. So there's, I always think of it as a break in the gas pedal. So there's like a process that has to take place to work through that to move forward, or because Mars wants to move forward and Saturn wants to slow it down. So it's like, that they can mediate and come to a new understanding.
But in water signs, it's deep. And it's also compatible. it's a trine. It wants to flow. It wants to connect. And so I think the actions want to find what kind of container am I going to live in, because it's water. And with Mercury, it's going to be, okay, what are we going to put in the water? Are we going to put fish? Are we going to put, is it going to be fresh water? Is it salt water?
Well, I think that Mercury in Pisces is asking us to be compassionate how we deal with this.
Yeah. No salt water. No, we won't hurt the wounds. Yeah.
So is that the last slide, or?
It is. I was just waiting if Justin had a thought there, but we can go
No,
on.
I think that basically it just is the point of Thales is just visiting the other aspects we've already looked at, with the Pluto and Juno and Mars, and the nodes are always going to be opposite one another. So I mean
but it does tie in an idea of just looking at, okay, we're just looking at it. There's a flow coming from that. And I think that's the idea. So it's not, it does expand the dimensions of it, because without that trine there and looking at that just as an element, it would, it accentuates. So I think we're agreeing, are we not? Or are we disagreeing?
I think it's an agreement.
Yeah,
okay, sounds good to me. Well, I want to thank. We want to talk for a chat, but I do want to first say with the slides, thanks, folks, for subscribing and liking. It's always love to have you on board for our insightful conversations, because we want to awaken heart and soul consciousness, and there is always a YouTube playlist. So we have time. We have time to actually visit. My intention has come true. Yes, as you were saying.
Well, it's like, to me, this new moon is asking us to continue to release things that are of no longer of use to us, clean things out. And that can be our beliefs, that can be our closets, that can be anything. And of course, if it's a person, do it gently and kindly, and to have compassion and write down your desires. And I would say, since this is a Pisces new moon, dream big.
Well, and I was also going to mention that the aspect of dreams here, because the Pisces, I've always found when Pisces moons, it's a very good dream time, but it's also, this is about creativity and getting going with something here, So I think it's a good time for create any type of creativity, or starting creative projects, or any artist with a Pisces moon at 9 degrees like that.
It is truly, when you look at the fact that we're direct, all the planets are direct right at this little moment. Plus we have, I'm going back, scanning my mind about what we have really talked about. The reinforcement, moon is always reinforcement with emotions, but the nakshatra that's saying there's a lot of healing. There's just, whatever we're looking to enact forward will be healing. I think.
Well, reorientating one's emotions is healing.
Yes, exactly.
So back to the Sabian symbols.
Yeah. Because truly, when you have a lot of change imposed on us, and we feel like that, and of course, many like it and many don't like it. It's controversial to begin with. There's adjustments with our environment. I think that's really what Jupiter and Gemini is saying. We're like rethinking, refocusing, reconsidering the patterns of where we live. How does it respond to us? How is it supporting us? Is it supporting us?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And to be compassionate to yourself and everybody else. I mean,
it's true. I was just listening to Jason Hawley in a class we did with Iliad, and he brought up about Chiron, and there was some Chinese philosopher. So it was, someone says to Chiron, I suffer. And Chiron says, I see your suffering. And it's hanging in there, it's being with it. I thought that was somehow important to share. That
I call that holding the
that
space for
message.
another.
Exact. Yes. We don't need to fix necessarily. We just
Nope.
need to be there and with compassion, as you say.
Yeah.
And for ourselves, right?
Exactly. And listen as well as you can and share with others too. It's a reciprocal.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth Liz Muschett and Justin Crockett Elsie. I'm Sue Minahan. This is Archetypal Symbols. We hope all of you have blessed invocations and new starts as we all journey forward. Because next month is solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. Actually, it's going to be a solar eclipse. It'll be a wow, pow, alakazam. Blessings to all.
See you next time.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.